Hi, this is Stephen Brower from Irvine Valley Community College. This is for CSIT, 256, Computer Architecture and Assembly Language. If we were in a classroom, I would use the syllabus as a vehicle to do sort of an overview for what to expect for the course. And so even though we're online, I'll do the same thing. So on the syllabus tab, the syllabus here has the policies and the grading criteria. And what I'll do is I'll go through that, and that'll prompt me to mention some things. Well, first of all, this is an online section, and this is the first time that this course is being offered online. And so I'm not sure what is going to, well, we'll try. Okay. There are two books for the course. One is the Computer Organization and Architecture book by William Stallings, the 10th edition. The other one is Assembly Language for x86 processors by Irvine, the 8th edition. The homework for the course will be from the Stallings book, and I do want to point out, if you stumble upon an international edition, although dirt cheap, the questions and problems in the international edition are different than the regular. So make sure if you're acquiring the book elsewhere that the international edition of the Stallings is not going to cut it. As for the assembly language book, we're using it just as a language reference for working on the labs. And so if you actually have if you find the 7th edition, which would be a little bit cheaper, that would be sufficient for what we're doing, because the labs, the assembly labs, are going to be my creation. Yeah, okay, so that's on that one. If we met in the classroom, I would say bring the assembly lab book to the class for working on the labs. But since we're working from home, they should be home. I am not planning on going on campus this summer. And so if you need to contact me, the best way to reach me would probably be via my email, stephen.brower@raritanvalley.edu. The Canvas email is not as punctual in getting to me. Now, what I plan on doing this summer is to have drop-in office hours, and I'm looking for, well, Mondays and Fridays are going to be the days that we have things due. So I was thinking of like Monday, afternoon, late afternoon, evening, Friday, late afternoon, evening. I'm not sure, and possibly Wednesday. I haven't fleshed that out yet. My webpage will have that. So the link that's mentioned here, that brings up my web page. Even this isn't accurate right now, but that's where I will list my online drop-in hours, which will be using Microsoft Teams. And the advantage of using Microsoft Teams is that if you want to share your desktop, I'll be able to see your code and then offer comments on it, and then vice versa. I could share my desktop and then show what I have if I'm trying to show something else. Oh, yeah, and one thing in terms of response time on the email, my hope is to respond in less than 24 hours. It would help if you had in the subject of your email 256, which is our course, and question, if you have a question that you want answered. Especially if you're using a non-Raritan Valley account, the way that the school system flags those non-Raritan Valley accounts, it makes it look as if this is spam. For the love of God, don't open it. And so I may not necessarily open it. In terms of in the evenings, the cutoff date for Mondays and Fridays, it's listed as due by 11:59, but on all of the assignments, the homework and the labs, I put in a wiggle room of noon the next day. So if, and part of that is in case you're working on something 11 at night and you send an email and I don't respond, I could in theory respond in the morning and you'd have to noon to tie it up. This course was designed for computer science majors. So the ACM, Association of Computers and Machinery, has this recommended curriculum, and this course is in line with that curriculum. So the intention is for students that are going to be transferring to a four-year school for computer science. Sometimes some students take this for giggles and grins, but the intention is for the computer science majors. And part of the idea behind it is we're going to be looking at like how the computer works. We'll look at the CPU. We'll look at the components of the central processing unit, what's inside of it. We'll see how an instruction is brought in from memory and all the steps that go through to carry out that instruction. Well, using the assembly, since it is closer to the machine level, then some of the things that we're seeing from an architecture point of view will become more evident when we're using something like assembly language. Okay. This is 6 minutes to try to keep this short. This long narrative here talks about how many hours would be in the classroom and outside the classroom for a 14-hour course. This is totaling what those hours would be for a 14-hour course, dividing it by 9, which is 18 hours a week. If you have a full-time job and you're taking 2 other courses, good luck with that. That's basically the point, is that if you think of 18 hours a week for the 9 weeks that the class is running, that's a chunk of time. If we were in the classroom, we would do the architecture lecture, then an architecture lab, which I would introduce. We would do an assembly, I would do assembly lecture, and then I would introduce the assembly lab, and then we would have lab time. As an online course, what there will be, the slides that I normally would distribute in class would be available, and I will have, and it's going to vary drastically from chapter to chapter how many videos there are. It's something I did say in another video, and I'll say it again because I like saying it. I was in a faculty development session with another, well, it was in a faculty development session, and a colleague of mine said a lot of times we teach the students we had, not the students we have. Well, a number of the videos that I create, or either have created or will create, have been based on questions that in the past students have asked me. In other words, stumbling blocks, where they ran into issues. And there could be some chapters that we get to later, especially in the architecture. There might not be, other than the overview video, there might not be a video. So again, it will vary how many videos that there are. I do anticipate more videos with the assembly than there would be with the architecture. But since we are going to have 6 architecture labs, the material that's going to be in the architectural labs, I do envision videos on those as well. The idea is you're going to be working at home because it's an online class and the computer labs are not. You cannot rely on the computer labs being open this summer. So if you have a PC, you should be able to run the software. If you have a Mac, you're screwed. Sorry, I don't know how else to say it. We did add a text onto the section saying that a PC was needed. And if you saw it and you ignored it, that's an issue. If you didn't see it, well, that's also an issue as well. I don't know why it wouldn't have been seen. But although there is a Visual Studio for Mac, the underlying library is not the same as Visual Studio for PC, and then the Irvine library does not work because some of it is on, the underlying library is the Windows API. Well, Mac does not run, I mean, you can run Windows on a Mac in a controlled environment, but by default, iOS is different than Windows. Anyway, if you have a PC, you should be okay. If you have a Mac, All right. The approach I use, and there was another video that did it, I'm going to use Mondays and Fridays as the due dates. You could, leading up to those Mondays and Fridays, work at your own pace for submitting work. So let's say you only work on Thursdays. Let's say the only day you have free for the entire summer, the only day you have free is Thursdays. You would have to, on that Thursday, do the work that's due Friday and the following Monday. So you can pace yourself. Now, not all the stuff has been loaded into Canvas yet, and that's why I have a posting status page. And so one of the other videos, we'll talk about that. This is the grading criteria, and one of the things I want to point out, the homework is 10%. That would mean if it's against your philosophy as a student to do homework, and you choose not to do any homework, everything else here would have to be perfect for you to get an A for the course. If you choose not to do any homework, and as soon as anything here is not perfect, you're not getting an A. So if you want the A, do the homework. My rule on homework is a rule of 5. I would assign no more than 5 questions for the homework. This is referring to the software again. There is a page in Canvas that shows how to acquire the software, and it also shows how to acquire the library. The very first lab, the Hello World lab, part of that is getting your environment set up. So there are videos for showing how to set it up and then how to write that first one. By the way, the review questions that are in the back of the chapters for the assembly book, the answers are in the back of the book. And so the reason why the homework is only from the Stallings book is because the Irvine book, he gives all the answers. It could mean for studying. It could mean for studying that you could practice with some of those questions that are in the assembly book, but the reason why the homework is only from the Stallings book is not because the answers are already there for that. There's another video that will show how to submit homework. There's another video that will show how to submit the assembly labs. The labs are designed, and even though we're going online, the assembly labs are going to be designed as if they would be able to be completed in 2 to 3 hours in the classroom. Now, of course, doing them on your own, it may take a little bit longer, but what it does mean for the labs, I will make some shortcuts and I will make some assumptions. So sometimes I make them less than real life, or sometimes, later when we get to user input, I would say assume the user enters in the data properly, that kind of thing. Let's see, the architectural labs, there's going to be 6 of them for the semester. They're going to be problems, basically computations. The ones you're going to see for the first week, one is doing conversions and the other one is doing minimizing a Boolean expression using a Carnot map. But a number of the architectural labs are computational based. There's only going to be one project for the course. That's the assembly project. I aim to post it around August 3rd. And what that would give, in a sense, like if we were in the classroom, if we ignore the night of August 3rd, it would be the following Friday and the following Monday, where that would be lab time to work on it. It's usually the projects are more involved, and don't wait until the night it's due to start. Exams are going to be in Canvas, and they're going to be different formats. And let me just jump to the end here. Is about a week before the exam, I'll have an information sheet with the format and content, along with with some sample questions. In terms of the wiggle room, I do have noon the following day. So for the items due Monday, the wiggle room is noon the next day. The items due Friday, the wiggle room is noon the next day. At the end of the semester, the lowest homework is dropped, the lowest lab is dropped, the lowest architectural lab is dropped. And what that does is that addresses the policy that RVCC has that you not be penalized for missing a week. There's no extra credit other than what's there. So if you choose not to do homework and ask for extra credit, there's none. And then the other information here is regarding some policies that you should check. I probably missed some stuff. I probably went too fast, but that's what I would have done in the classroom. I would have missed stuff. I would have gone too fast.